Who is Final Fantasy's best white mage? Honestly, this question is really tough. When you think of white mages, healing is probably the first thing that comes to mind. But almost every white mage has also been gifted another thing that they do really well because of what can only be called white mage privilege. Blasting enemies with holy magic, bow wielding, even sexy summoning. I was going to say summoning, but I figured it out. And as usual, I'll only consider characters that have some innate ability to use white magic. So Waka, just because your racist ass appropriated all of Yuna's nose does not mean that I'm putting you on the list. But the first white mage who will make this list is Final Fantasy IV's Porum. Now, you probably expected Rosa from the same game to be on the list, and we'll talk about her later, I promise. But Porum is actually a super cool character. First things first, she learns every single white magic spell in Final Fantasy IV. That means she has a vast array of healing magic, can revive other characters with full HP, heal status, and dispel beneficial effects on enemies. But at level 54, she gains the white magic nuke Holy. And while this spell is massively powerful and often gives white mages their soul damaging option, it's not even the most impactful part of Porum's kit. Because when she's in battle with her sister, when she's in battle with her brother Palom, she gets access to the twin cast ability. By sacrificing both of their turns, they can cast the hugely powerful Pyroblast or Comet spells, and they each contribute half of the necessary MP to use the spell. And best of all, this ability comes super early in the game. This means they can access a power level that most of your party won't be able to get until they gain a bajillion more levels. And interestingly, in certain versions of the game, twin cast can be upgraded by equipping both Palom and Porum with the Twin Stars accessories. This allows them a chance to cast the even more powerful Twin Meteor, which costs 0 MP. However, the downsides of Twin Cast keep Porum out of the higher ranks of this list. If either she or Palom dies, is stopped, or is petrified, the spell completely fails. That means you've wasted both of their turns, and you'll likely have to spend your next turn on revival. And because they're both pretty frail, this is a common occurrence. But also, merely the fact that you have to use both twins is a disadvantage, particularly when you might need one of the twins to take a different action. But one white mage who's perfectly fine acting on her own is Final Fantasy VII's Aerith. Bad burp. Aerith is currently best known for being the most alive person in all of Final Fantasy.
I love being alive.
But before she became a green meteor-whacking Ouroboros, she was a white mage. And like all of the other characters in Final Fantasy VII, she can equip all materia and has the highest magic stat of all the characters. But what actually makes her a white mage is her limit breaks. These are where her innate white mage abilities lie, and her level 1 limit breaks aren't too special, so I'm gonna skip those. But her level 2 limit breaks are where things get juicy. Well, kind of. I guess it's cool that her level 2 limit break Fury Brand fills up the limit gauges of all the other characters in your party, and that can result in some big PP damage if you time it right. But I lied. That's not where it gets juicy. Because for real now, her level 3 limit breaks are awesome. She can grant invincibility to the entire party with her Planet Protector limit break, and Pulse of Life restores all HP and MP of all party members and also cures all status effects. But then we see her level 4 limit break, which you will definitely have because you will keep her in your party for the entire Great Gospel. It does both of the level 3 things. It cures all HP, MP, and status effects, and it also provides immunity to attacks. And that's pretty gosh darn powerful for a white mage and can allow your allies to tear through the enemy party with impunity. But what keeps her out of the top 3 slot is her one blind spot, her incredible weakness. Her Final Fantasy's 3rd most powerful white mage is the Final Fantasy V white mage class. And Final Fantasy V's white mage class is actually kind of mid because it can do everything other white mages can do. It has holy, it can cure HP, and it can heal status effects, which is cool. But this white mage can do all that and a bag of choco chips. That's so stupid. But really, it's actually great because Final Fantasy V allows white mages to take on another class in addition to the white mage class. And I can already hear you nerds yelling about how the white mage in Final Fantasy Tactics can do the exact same thing, but I'll talk about that in a bit. So give me a minute, you greedy little slut. The Final Fantasy V white mage can equip skills from every other class in the game, which gives them access to myriad other skills, which I guess is what I just said. Want them to deal massive elemental damage? mage? Give them black mage abilities. Want them to support the party even more? Give them time mage abilities so they can be the ultimate support unit. Should one of these abilities not cut it in a specific situation, you can switch the ability at any time. And I say that only because the white mages in Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age, while similarly situated, can't switch around their classes quite as easily. But forget about switching classes if you choose to use the number 2 white mage on this list, Eiko. Because Eiko is ridiculously powerful as is. She's one of 2 white mages in Final Fantasy IX, and to be completely frank, she's the one with the better white magic. She just is. In addition, she and she alone learns the Holy Spell, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And Eiko's white magic is different than her colleague Garnet's in another way. She gets some unique spells that enhance her teammates' abilities, the main one being Haste, which greatly increases their battle speed. And just to add to her insane abilities, she and she alone gets the full life spell, meaning she's the only character in the game who can revive another character at full health. But that's not even half of it, because Eiko is one of 2 summoners in the party, and her summon magic is unique to say the least. While her summon magic isn't technically what makes her a great white mage, totally aware of that, I get it, it's important to talk about, because her Carbuncle summon in particular has strong buffing effects. In its base state, it casts Reflect on the party, but by equipping certain gems, she can change its effect to Protect, Shell, or even a party-wide haste buff. But she also gets an even cooler summon, the Phoenix. This ability not only inflicts fire damage on all enemies, but it also revives all downed party members. But there's one other thing that's really cool about it. If the entire party dies and Eiko is in the party, she has a chance to automatically cast the Phoenix spell, reviving the party and giving them another chance. The chance of this happening is dependent on the number of Phoenix pinions in your inventory. And unfortunately, the chance of this happening maxes out around 30%. But it's still very powerful, and it's the reason that I was able to beat Final Fantasy IX at level 1. Eiko completely saved the party on several occasions. I'll link that video in the Discridly-Do if you want to watch it after this one. And while we're on the topic of my channel, do me a favor, check to make sure that you're subscribed. I know it's super annoying when we ask you to subscribe, but I'm already really annoying, so that shouldn't bother you. And also, it's really important and it helps my channel immensely, so thank you. And also a big thank you to my channel members, the Tantacles, who support my channel financially. I couldn't make these videos without you. And if you're interested in joining, hit the link in the Discridly-Do. Again, I don't know how to do these things. I'm just gonna ask nicely. Please support my channel with a channel membership if you can. I would really appreciate it. You get early access to my videos and exclusive Discord channels. These are where I make my RPG game shows in advance so that you can help me write the questions, which is really fun. We have a good time. Thank you. I really appreciate the support. But back to Eiko, because none of the things that I've already talked about compare to the most important part of her kit, her Trance. Trance, which is essentially the limit break of Final Fantasy IX, gives Eiko one of the highest power levels in the game. It allows her to cast white magic twice in a row. And of course, the magic that she's going to want to cast 99 times out of 100 in this form is Holy. And without too much difficulty, she can do massive damage and even break the damage cap, something only one other character in Final Fantasy IX can do. And I already talked about that character in another video where I discussed the best black mages in Final Fantasy, and I will link that in the Discreetly-Daedly-Do. It's what I deedly do. But what keeps Eiko out of the top spot is that her trance is extremely limited. It only comes around once in a blue moon, and if it activates at the wrong time, you lose a lot of her power. And all it takes is one bop from a teeny monster to make that happen. So that's honestly pretty disappointing. But when it does activate, she is definitely strong enough to earn her place in the number 2 slot. And before I talk about White Mage number 1, let's talk about a few White Mages who did not make the cut. The Final Fantasy Tactics White Mage is an interesting case. The White Mage class itself is kind of lame. Compared to the Wizard, their power level is pretty low, and the spells they get all have to charge up before being used. That being said, if you're using the spells on your own party, this isn't too bad. Because you have control over your party members, you can just move them into position whenever you want them to be healed or buffed. But the White Mage does gain access to the Calculator ability, which I talked about a lot in the Black Mage video, so watch that one for a more detailed description. However, this ability does allow the White Mage to hit multiple units based on various statistics. I just couldn't put it on this list because the Black Mage has a higher power level and therefore does everything that the White Mage can do with that class about 100 times better. So honestly, just don't bother using a Tactics White Mage. Use a Wizard instead. I briefly mentioned Rosa from Final Fantasy IV earlier, and the reason that she isn't on this list is that her ability, Aim, doesn't do anything really that notable. She's better off just using magic, and Porum has better ways to use magic anyway, so just use Porum. Dagger is Eiko's counterpart in Final Fantasy IX, and she too is quite powerful. However, she doesn't get the holy spell, and her skill set is far more focused on summoning. And if you want to see me make a video about the best summoners in Final Fantasy, leave me a comment because that's how I know you want to see more videos like this. But with regard to her white mage abilities, her trance doesn't enhance those at all. It basically just gives her free summons without her using any MP, so she's clearly not the best white mage. Not even close. Final Fantasy VIII's Selphie is an interesting case. She gets some unique white magic that no other characters have access to. Wall casts both Protect and Shell, and her full cure spell heals all HP and status effects inflicted on the party. However, these spells are tied to her limit break, which is a weird place to be in, because her slot limit break can cast just about any other spell in the game, but it's all semi-random. Yes, I know you can manipulate her slots, I get that. But why do that when you can just use items, which are plentiful and easily accessible by modifying triple triad cards? And even worse, if you're using a limit break to heal, you're then removing your team's ability to easily and consistently use limit breaks, so I think the trade-off isn't worth it. And while he is definitely one of the worst white mages in the game, I still have to give a shout out to Torgal from Final Fantasy XVI. He can heal you, and he's also the best boy. I love you, Torgal, and if I could, I would pet you. But this all leads us to white mage number 1, Final Fantasy X's biggest kahuna, Yuna. And honestly, Yuna is Square Enix's golden child. She got the royal treatment, starting with her selection of white magic. Along her sphere grid path, she has access to all of the white magic staples: curative magic, revival magic, and holy. But she also has access to another tool that's rarely allotted to white mages: auto life. This spell will immediately revive a character on death. And with Yuna's ultimate weapon, she can use every one of these spells for just 1 MP. And they even gave her the double AP ability on this weapon, allowing you to quickly max out her stats. And yeah, I know, she can also veer off of her own pathway to get all of Lulu's spheres and become a better black mage than Lulu. I get it, we all know, it's fine. So can everybody else, so who cares? But one thing that everyone else cannot do is summon. And summons allow her to not only act as an amazing white mage, but also be a wall for the team. She can use her Aeons to take huge hits from enemies that would otherwise kill the team. And that's of course ignoring their ability to do damage, which is already huge. It's clear that Square Enix gave Yuna all the tools she needed to be an amazing healer and a well-rounded powerhouse. But what about black mages? Well, watch this video here to find out who the best black mage is. Bye-bye. 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 Thank you, channel members. Bye-bye.